Hello, everybody. It's time to have some fun with astrology, and here I am having fun with astrology. So, I've been enjoying the Olympics. Who doesn't like to see Simone Biles do great things? One of the highlights of my week was hearing Martha Stewart say that she was going to dressage at the Olympics because Snoop Dogg is afraid of horses. Made me laugh. It's true. And it made me also obviously recall their very endearing friendship. So I thought that I would look at the charts because I knew I would find the reason why they're good friends, because you can always, if people are already friends, you don't need to question it. There are people who sometimes want me to look at their charts of friends, significant others relative to their own, and I enjoy doing it. I don't necessarily have a problem with doing it, but I don't think you need an astrological reason or astrological validation to like or not like someone. You either like them or you don't. It's pretty straightforward, but astrology is useful to pinpoint when things are going wrong and why, and thinking about how to navigate your way through them. But in the case, since I don't know Martha Stewart and I don't know Snoop Dogg, I thought, hey, let's find out a little bit more about this unlikely friendship. So I looked and I see a couple things, and this is kind of a walk in the park primer, at least at first, for one of the easiest slam dunk, most obvious things that you can't necessarily see yet. But when I switch the charts, I hope that you'll see it pretty quickly, because I'll also point to it pretty quickly. So 3 more seconds to guess what it is that I'm going to say. And here we go. So Martha Stewart. Now Martha Stewart is on the inside wheel and Snoop Dogg is on the outside wheel. Do you see it? It is right here. It is Snoop Dogg's Moon and Venus conjunction on Martha Stewart's ascendant. So personally, when I see someone's chart and I see that they have Venus in their birth chart within a couple of degrees of my ascendant, my first thought is, oh, they'll like me. I haven't been wrong yet. The only reason that this wouldn't work is if somebody's birth Venus has a lot of negative aspects where basically in order for them to like focus on stuff they like, they also have to deal with a lot of troubling or troubled energy. So like harsh aspects from Saturn and Uranus and Neptune and Pluto all together on someone's Venus would make it kind of difficult for them to organically just like stuff. But Venus by itself, or even a Venus and Moon combo, it's a pretty straightforward, I like you. And so Martha Stewart, although you wouldn't necessarily guess this, is Scorpio rising, and Snoop Dogg's Venus and Moon combination are in Scorpio. And so he likes Scorpio things, and Martha Stewart is a Scorpio person. And I talked about this a couple videos ago with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce's Venus is conjunct Taylor Swift's ascendant. It's the same exact thing of just a natural liking, usually good and easy rapport. Other nerdy fact, Snoop Dogg, although you wouldn't necessarily guess it, is a Libra. And I find that most rappers have a really decent amount of air, so planets in air signs in their chart, and he has Pluto in Libra, Uranus, the Sun, and Mars, all in air signs. Oh, nope, sorry, I got distracted by Martha Stewart's Jupiter over here. She's not a rapper. Another thing that this is a neutral item, but Snoop Dogg's Libra Sun is in Martha Stewart's 12th house. And when someone's Sun is in your 12th house, it often means that they just kind of get you. on an intuitive level. It can be uncomfortable for the 12th house person because any one sun, quote unquote, lighting up your house of subconscious can be weird. It can feel weird, and it can feel like they see you in a way that you don't necessarily want to be seen. It can feel very personal. So it's neutral. It kind of depends on the other energies and aspects that their planets are making to your chart. In this case, I think it's positive of Snoop Dogg just like understanding Martha Stewart without really needing to talk too much. And I think that becomes mutual just in the way that they seem to get each other. But it's first and foremost aided by this Moon and Venus combination. So just a reminder, ascendants are an inward facing energy. And you can't see me, but I pointed to myself when I said that. So ascendants don't give out energy. Energy comes to your ascendant. So that means that if somebody has planets that are conjunct your ascendant, which means next to, conjunct means next to, that means that your ascendant receives that energy. It cannot give anything. So, usually with these comparisons, it's the ascendant person who benefits more, which is why a couple minutes ago when I said when someone's Venus is within a couple degrees of my ascendant, I know they'll like me without me needing to try very hard. So Snoop Dogg would naturally like Martha Stewart without Martha Stewart needing to try very hard. So it's Martha Stewart who at least is initially receiving the beneficial energy or the likingness. Though obviously they are friends, so there's something kind of deeper or more of a connection that they've been able to form. Another fun little fact here is that Snoop Dogg's man, okay, I'm tired. I apologize. I knew there was something. Snoop Dogg also has Saturn in Gemini, so that's another air planet. So that's 5 air planets. My bad. I would stop the video and start over, but I will never post this if I have to keep stopping to re-record things. Okay. Anyway, Snoop Dogg's Saturn is in the neighborhood of Martha Stewart's Saturn in Taurus here. So Gemini is ahead of Taurus, obviously. But this means that there is a 30-year difference between the two of these people. And that, again, it's an unlikely friendship, but this isn't deeply meaningful. This is just something that my eye goes to because, green and green, thing that looks like an H and thing that looks like an H. But that says that there's a significant age difference. Okay. One other thing just to note. Clearly, Martha Stewart has this Uranus-Saturn conjunction, but I'm just excluding Saturn for the time being, or maybe for the whole video. I don't know how much I'm going to talk about it. Uranus in the 7th house. The 7th house is the house of partnerships. And Uranus in the 7th house means that you tend to attract to yourself either people who are very different from you to partner with, or people who are very intellectual or cerebral, or, Uranus is the planet of genius, but the layperson cannot always understand the genius. But this is kind of, it wouldn't be like this at first as you're a teenager, getting used to having this energy in your chart. But as you mature, you just get used to relating to people who help you to understand things and see things in a new way, and maybe help you rebel, because that's another thing Uranus likes to do, or just change your perspective. And so Martha Stewart is set up a little bit to hang out with people who differ from her pretty significantly. So that's an interesting thing. Okay, I'm going to switch the charts back and talk about something else. I guess I don't really need to do that, but Snoop Dogg is Taurus rising, and that's kind of like ... How does Snoop Dogg benefit from this relationship? Obviously, Venus and the moon are stimulated. You know, they become active when Martha Stewart is around. But what did Snoop Dogg get out of this besides just like a warm feeling of liking someone? That's another thing. It's not going to jump out at you, I don't think, until I tell you. But he is Taurus rising. Remember, ascendants don't give out energy. So look at what's missing from this chart. He's got 5 planets in air. He's got a bunch of Scorpio planets. He has fire planets over here in Sagittarius. What isn't there? What didn't I say yet? He doesn't have any earth. And so Taurus rising that is an earth sign rising, but you need to have actual planets in a sign that you're missing in order to really register it or feel it. And it's not that he's wandering around going, oh, I'm ungrounded. I suffer because I'm ungrounded. When you just lack an element, you're not aware that you lack it. It's not like you miss it. So, for example, I don't have anything in cardinal signs. And my self-preservation instincts are pretty shitty, but I'm not missing it, you know? I'm just not very domestic. I'm not really concerned with myself. I don't know, like there's just, like it's like there's a piece missing that I see other people doing, or I see people taking stuff really personally, and I'm like, well, why? Why would you take that personally? You know, if you hang around with a bunch of people who have planets in Aries, just saying. But when you are missing an element or a mode, which that's either cardinal planets or fixed planets or mutable planets, you don't miss it. If you have one thing in an element, that usually you can recognize like, oh, I can do this a little bit, but not a lot. So if you had one thing in fire, the get up and go-ness might feel lacking. Kind of takes you a lot to fight the inertia that you might experience to go out and do the things that you need to do. Just as an example. But Snoop Dogg doesn't have any earth, and Martha Stewart does. So by the fact of her being around him, she can help him be grounded, feel more settled, probably have a calming influence, again, without trying, because this is just energy that she naturally has. So she has these 2 planets in Taurus. She has these 2 planets in Virgo. Honestly, I can't really get my head around the idea that Neptune and Virgo can do anything for you. Just the same as Neptune and Capricorn. It's sometimes I see charts with like Neptune and Capricorn being the only Earth planet, and I think I'm doing math in my head, and I'm like, -1 Earth. Like, how is that helping? I don't think it is. But she has enough Earth and just natural groundedness, and Earth is reality checking, right? So like something that I love that I see in astrology all the time is if you don't have a lot of Earth, you just need to make friends with people who have it and then run your ideas by them. And they will say like, oh, that's a good idea, or what is wrong with you? And it works. It really does. My closest friends are Capricorns. I have a lot of energy in Capricorn, so it's not like I'm wandering around like, oh, I'm so ungrounded. But when I am kind of squinting at something like, that seems like a bad idea, I ask a Capricorn, and they will listen to everything that I have to say and often make weird faces at me while they're furrowing their eyebrows and like helping me think through, like, is this a good decision or is this really stupid? And they are honest. Earth signs will tell you, like, you are about to make a mistake. Don't do that. So, additionally, Saturn is a notoriously earthy planet. So having Snoop Dogg's Saturn, it's kind of within the range reinforced by Martha Stewart's planets that are actually in Earth, would be super helpful. So both sides benefit from this relationship in different ways. And I think that's just my thesis for this, of like why it actually makes sense for several different reasons. But I do think you can see charts of, you know, people who like each other but it never really comes to anything, or people who like each other and they just can't make it work. This is a pretty symbiotic, they like each other, they get along, and it makes sense. So that's my little thing. And so, I mean, the like Snoop Dogg being afraid of horses, somebody without Earth would have more than the normal amount of irrational fears a lot of the time. I saw a video this morning of Martha Stewart standing next to Snoop Dogg, and they're both feeding horses, and Snoop Dogg is saying, "Oh, this is easy," essentially, as he's like holding out a carrot to a horse. So kudos to him. He got all dressed up and he faced his fear of horses, but it was the earth sign calming influence of, I know how to interact with horses, let me show you how to interact with horses, that seems to have made a difference and helped Snoop Dogg broaden his horizons. Last thing, I'm going to do a composite chart, so this is about to change, and a composite chart is a mathematical average of the two energies together, and what jumps out at you, or what should jump out at you, because the first thing you do with any chart is you look at the angles to see if there's anything really close to one, and Neptune is pretty close to an angle. It's pretty close to the midheaven, and the midheaven is public, and Neptune is confusion. So it's like the public lack of clarity about why these two people get along. But really, my point here is, here's Uranus on the descendant, which is the partnership line. This is an unusual relationship. And often, if you don't accept that as a fact about your relationship, and you are in a relationship with Uranus here, you are going to have a rough time, because you will struggle with the fact that you will not always be able to be 100% present for each other. The relationship will be erratic. It will have some times of extreme closeness, some times of extreme distance. It may cause the relationship to feel more like a friendship than a romance, if it is a romance, which this I'm pretty sure is not. But with Neptune up here, who can say? Probably not. I can't say that with a straight face. That's all there is to say about that. But Uranus here is an unconventional relationship, period, the end. And this is an unconventional relationship, is it not? So I love it. Astrology is fun. It tells you more than you think. I hope you enjoyed this. Hit me up with questions. You know where to find me, and I'll see you next time.